Hey guys, and welcome back to Drifting in Scale. Today we're going to be taking a look at the XRX DPA 128 to 124 scale rear wheel drive RC drift chassis. Now this chassis does come in 94 millimeter out of the box. I've already upgraded mine here to the adjustable chassis. As you can see, I've stretched it out quite a bit here. Depending on where you buy this kit from, it can and cannot come with electronics. I did get mine with the XRX electronics, minus the servo you see here. Out of the box it came with the ESC here, the gyro, and the motor, along with a plastic servo. I didn't have very much luck with the original servo. It didn't have a name or anything on it, but I believe it was just a plastic geared servo, and it seemed to get hot and kind of quit working after a while. So I was able to get my hands on one of the XRX servos here, the upgrade servos, and I haven't had any issues with this since putting it on. This is a full metal gear, metal case servo, high torque, and all that good stuff. Other than that, the rest of the electronics on the chassis I'm very happy with. The ESC is nice and smooth, the motor's nice and smooth, there's really no cogging or anything like that. Gyro works great. You do have to buy the receiver. Depending on what transmitter you use, you'll have to pick that corresponding receiver for it. But other than that, the electronics on this I'm very impressed with. Even the ability to roll it. A lot of the motors and stuff you see out for the smaller cars, you really can't roll them like that, especially on a slippery surface like this. So that's very nice to be able to have that kind of control when you're driving the car, where you can let it roll without just hitting the brakes as soon as you let off of the throttle. The supplied motor that came with mine is a 3500 kV motor. I believe the options you can get for these are the 3500, the 5500, and a 7500 kV motor. I do recommend, and I do really like the 3500 kV motor. I believe that's probably the best size motor for this type of scale, especially 24 scale, on the drifting and stuff like that. Anything more than that just seems like so much wheel spin that it's almost uncontrollable to be able to tune or utilize the traction and everything on the tires themselves. So I find that 3500 kV motor to be perfect on like a 8x14 track or a 10x16 track. Anything bigger than that, you might have to step up to a larger size motor or change your overall gear ratio, final drive ratio, to get that wheel spin back. On this one here, I did change the gearing a little bit. I stepped the gearing up so that I could get a little bit more top end out of it. Originally it came with a 14 tooth. I think I'm running a 19 or 18 tooth on here now, just to get a little bit more top end out of it. What that does is it allows me in the angle, when I'm at angle, to kind of maintain it longer throughout the drift on those long turns and stuff like that. The overall build quality on the chassis out of the box was very well, even though you'll see here, I'll put a picture up somewhere up here of what it looks like out of the box, compared to the upgrades and stuff I've done here. Now I have upgraded quite a few things on this, like the decks here for the adjustments, the forward and the rear bulkheads. I have also done the rear arms so that I have the adjustable rear arms. What that does is it allows me to open up the track width on it, as well as the wheelbase, so I can make the car wider and longer for multiple different body options and stuff like that. I haven't done too much. I did do the lower steering rack setup here in metal so that it wouldn't move or anything on me like that. And I did also do the hubs in aluminum so that, if you hit anything, it just makes the steering a little bit more strong, where some of these smaller pieces and bolts and stuff go through. Other than that, I did leave a lot of the plastic parts on here. I'm still running the plastic upper and lower front arms. I'm running still the factory plastic bulkhead mount here, plastic steering arm here, really didn't change much, just the things I thought would make the car easier to tune. Right now I have this at 102 millimeters, and 102 millimeters seems to fit really good for a lot of the model car bodies. Anywhere from 102 to 100 millimeters seems to be like right in that kind of special area there where you get the wheel wells lining up right and everything looking just right. I didn't have much issues with the 94 millimeter setup other than the track width and wheelbase. Seemed to be limiting some of the steering ability, as far as being able to get full lock out of it, and full ability to tune out of it to get the steering geometry where you wanted it to be at, to get that optimal Ackerman and everything like that out of the chassis. So going from the 28 scale to the 24 scale bodies really seem to make a big difference on the amount of tuning and overall performance you can get out of this chassis here. So you can see I've put quite a bit of weight on here. I'm running 10 grams here in the front, and I'm also running a 10 gram weight here in the back off of one of my 10 scale cars. And what that does is that's giving me, between it and the plastic weight of the model car bodies, that's giving me the ability to get the suspension to really work nice and smooth, with the spring rates and everything like that that the XRX comes with. I really like that 10 grams over the front and 10 grams over the rear axle. I think that really seems to put the weight where it needs to be for this car, especially with the low center of gravity mounting on the electronics. I do run my battery up top here. I don't have one sitting out here, but it's a pretty simple setup. I just run a little strap here, and that allows me to either put the battery sideways or long ways, depending on how I want to run it that day, or if I'm running a different body, as I run a couple different 124 scale cars on here. Like I said, out of the box, this car drove really great, and I kind of slowly upgraded it over time just to kind of make it look cool. If you do end up purchasing one of these, I'd recommend the first thing you do buy is this lower steering rack that holds the bearings and everything like that. And all that's going to do is guarantee you that your steering system's going to always be tight in there. It's always going to be tight where it needs to hold the bearings here to the rack. And you'll never have to worry about it stripping like the plastic kind of will sometimes. The front arms and everything like that, I haven't had any issues with, as well as any of the other plastic parts on this chassis. The rear bulkhead's just a nice option because it stiffens up the back of the chassis a little bit and just makes it look cooler. These parts are available in, I think, silver and blue. Those might be the only two options, and I kind of did a little bit of both on this, as well as the deck here is available, I believe, in aluminum and regular carbon, and then this silver carbon here. I kind of like the silver carbon as it matches with the 10 scale stuff I do. Little simple setup, very good driving car. As you can see here, it gets very good steering lock. I can get really good angle out of this car when I take it to the track. It does drive very well up against other chassis such as the Drift Art, the DRZ. I seem to have no issue trying to drive or keep up or just have fun banging doors with everybody out there with their different cars and chassis. I'm running a simple DS Racing setup on the wheels here, running some LF4s on the front. I like the LF4s on the front for a little more traction, and then some LF5s on the front. These are actually the LF5S. So it gives me a little bit more of a consistent, slippery kind of traction on the rear. It's very predictable and easy to run like that. I am running narrows and then wides in the back. I do that because I do like the little extra traction here. Other than that, it's been a great chassis. I do recommend, if anybody's wanting to get into the micro drift scene, the 124th, 128 scale drift scene, that the XRX would be a great starter chassis, as well as a great chassis for somebody who's already in the scene and just looking for something new to play with. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, leave a comment down below and we'll take a look and see what we can figure out for you guys. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, hit that notification bell, And you guys have a great day. Thank you.